Hey everybody, it's Gina here from Gina Makes It. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I am doing something a little different and something that I thought of a couple days ago, and I thought, well, let's try this and see how it works out. And it worked out really great, and so I decided to make a video about it. I, like a lot of people, have a lot of stamps that I just don't use. And I've been able to pinpoint the reason that I don't use them. I don't use them because I never know how they're going to work on a page. And if I don't know for sure how it's going to look, I hesitate to use it. So if it comes out half stamped or blurry or something, it's going to really make me mad. And I'm not going to like the end result. I know me and I know how it works. And that might be the reason why you don't use your stamps either. But I get this complaint a lot from people that they have all these stamps and they just don't use them. And so I was thinking the other day, like, gosh, how can I go about using my stamps in a way that works well with the way that I am creative? And I thought, you know what? It would be really neat to have like a book of stamps, and I can fussy cut them out whenever I want to use them. And if it's going to fit into a layout, I'll be able to just cut it out and I'll know that it looks great, and then I'll add it as a piece of ephemera. And so that's exactly what I'm doing here. I had this tiny little journal, which is probably maybe like 3x4, that I made years ago, and I have a bunch of these that are just kind of stacked up, and they've just been collecting dust. I did use one last year to document like the month of May, and it was a really nice way to document it, but the rest of them were just kind of out here waiting for something. And I thought, these are all different papers. I can stamp all different stamps. I could try out different inks. I can just really experiment in this little journal, and the ones that I like or that I end up liking, I can fussy cut and use in actual layouts. So I pulled out a handful of stamps, and these stamps are by no means all of the stamps. These were just the ones that were readily available, and by that I mean they were on top of the pile. So I grabbed them, and I grabbed a whole bunch of different inks that I had in my stash, some that were dried up, some that were juicier than others, and I found that out as I went on. And I just kind of paged through this and strategically started stamping things. Like, for instance, I just stamped that little picture, and I did it on this pattern paper because I knew that I was going to like the way the pattern paper came through the middle part, the heart and the little swishy part. So sometimes I'm stamping on the back, sometimes I'm not. If I really like the way it looks on the front, I wouldn't stamp on the back because I knew that I was going to probably use that. But if I was like, I'm not so thrilled about the way it turned out on that page, I flip it over and I do some more stamping on the back. I have to say, this turned out to be a really neat experiment, and I really feel like it's going to enable me to use my stamps more. I've seen videos for years on people who stamp and then they cut them out and then they keep them. They would just end up in a big pile that I would never use in some basket somewhere in the corner of my craft room. But if I have them all together in a book like this, in theory, I think that they would get utilized a little bit more. And as I was going through this, I found some papers that I thought might actually work good, torn out and added to journals too. So you can see that I'm just trying out all sorts of different colored inks on different papers, and I'm go through, and this takes me probably about a good hour to do, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm experimenting, and I'm learning a lot about my stamps and about the inks and about the different papers. For instance, the music paper didn't take a stamp very well because it was on the glossier side, and so that was something that I learned along the way. I'm not very knowledgeable about stamps and inks, but I will say, going through this process, I definitely have a lot more hands-on knowledge and hands-on experience. And so I would encourage you to go through your stamps and kind of make a little stamp booklet that you can just fussy cut from as you are journaling inside of your journal. So after I finish going through my book with my stamps, I don't show you the whole process because I just thought it was kind of repetitive. I do end up doing a quick journaling page in my most recent journal. So I have a picture that I had already glued down a couple days ago of a breakfast that I've been eating a lot lately, and so it reminded me of this little image from the February issue of Gina's Journal that had this little coffee pot with these coffee cups with hearts on them. And so I just cut it out and I add it to the top, and then I add one of those stamps in the middle as sort of a separator. Now, I would have spent a very long time looking for something to separate these two images. I know for a fact that I would have looked for lace, or I would have looked for a piece of scrap paper, but I had just the right size and just the right image that happened to be just stamped inside of that book. And so I trimmed it down and I added it in between the two images before I started my journaling. I ended up adding a little antique doily that I cut out from that same image underneath the stamped image. And now I'm going to do my journaling. And my journaling is just going to be talking about the meal and sharing it with my husband in the mornings when he's working from home. And so when I look back on this part of my life, I will instantly remember these captured moments. So this is sort of my ideal journaling session. I have a picture, I have a memory, and I have a few elements. And the purpose is for me to get them down on paper. Sometimes I want to do more elaborate pages, but most of the time I want something simple and straightforward that allows me to capture my feelings. I think this little stamped booklet is going to help me kind of get to that point quicker during just daily journaling sessions, and I think it might help you too. So I encourage you to try it. And if you like it and you've tried it, leave a comment down below and let me know. Or maybe you do this already and this has worked for you, or maybe you have a different way that you do it that might work a little bit better. I'd love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for supporting my YouTube channel and all of my other social media platforms, and for supporting my Etsy store. I really do appreciate it. I will see you next time.